The case for 400. Aaron Judge's case for 400. May the 3rd, 432. June the 5th, 389. Hi everyone, this is Will O'Toole welcoming you to another edition of Park Ridge Sports History. Yes, we have covered the 400, but I think it's a lot of fun. So in this week's episode, we'll talk a little bit about Aaron Judge's pursuit. I'm not giving up on it, and I'm not a Yankee fan. And comparing it again with Ted Williams, just for some who may have not seen the show, I devoted to Ted Williams, The Science of Hitting, his book on the science of hitting, and his season of 1941 when at the age of 23 hit 406, becoming the last major league player did over 400 in the major leagues. And I also want to get back to part 2. I had some fun with this Baseball Timeline by Bert Solomon. It's a book that I picked up from an old bookstore like a Barnes & Nobles or Walden Books, if you remember that, or some little bookstore. I was in Vermont, and it's a timeline, and we did it last week where I picked up just the book, opened it, and then we read dates, and by perusing we learned a little bit about the 50s, the 60s, the 30s, the 70s, etc. So I'm going to do the same thing. Had some fun because my quote-unquote wealth of knowledge when it comes to baseball really begins about 1970. And I followed it diligently, obsessively, fanatically for the last 40, 50 years. And yes, I know of all the great players of yesteryear, the Foxes, and obviously the Geurigs. I devoted so many episodes on Geurig, I never get tired of it, Babe Ruth, etc. But I never really delved into their stats. For instance, I can take 1970, Johnny Bench, 45, 148, 293. And just talk about that 1970 season. 1972 when he won the MVP, 40, 125, and I think he hit 270, 267. He had a lifetime 267 batting average. But sometimes when you ask me about Aaron Judge, I know he hit over the 60 home runs, topping Roger Maris, but I don't know specifically some of his stats. Same with my Reds, who I root for to this day. Dela Cruz, one of my favorite players in the game today. I can't, off the top of my head, tell you his stats. Not that I don't follow it, but we used to memorize them. Had the baseball cards in front of us and all the rest of it. So the Baseball Timeline really reintroduces me to my time, and also gives me research opportunities, and I learn more about the 20s and 30s and the 40s and the 50s and the early 60s. And then, of course, later on, this book goes up to about 1996. Before I get into it, I just want to delve into Aaron Judge. Now, I put on the ball, and these are some of the obstacles he's facing. Do I think he can do it? Well, I guess probably not. And these are the following reasons. One of the biggest things that Ted Williams talked about in The Science of Hitting was knowing the pitchers and knowing their entire repertoire by the third or fourth at bat in a game. Well, Aaron Judge, as I pointed out in the previous episode about this, had already faced 79 pitchers in the first 40 games or so of the season. Ted Williams faced 79 pitchers the entire 41 season on 7 different baseball teams. Judge is facing it on 30 or 29 other teams. And of course, in this day and age, you're not facing a pitching staff of 10. So he's facing maybe 14, 15 different guys on each team. Just do a quick one. That's 450 minus 15. That's 425. At the time, I'm going to give you the same 15 pitchers that Williams might have faced on staffs, 105. So 4 times as many, potentially. Other things, 4 time zones. Williams only had to go out to St. Louis by train But as we said, by train, you get to talk a lot of hitting. Uh, Probably get, I would say, a little bit more rest. Food was probably better than it is on the plains on an island, and we won't go there. Cross country travel, of course. I think it is very difficult to play a day game, get on a plane, travel all night, go into California in the wee hours of the morning based on Eastern Standard Time, and then you got to change the clock, and then go to your hotel, and then get ready to play. Yeah, Williams was doing the same thing, but only in 2 time zones. So that was a factor. More diverse talent. That goes without saying. Not are you just facing national talent, but you're facing global talent. Right? Of all backgrounds, ethnicities, colors, etc. Technical scouting and metrics. I think this might be. Now, Williams did face eventually the Ted Williams shift, introduced by Boudreau about 1948. But he was a dead pull hitter anyway. So, I mean, I got to be honest with you. Why you need metrics in many cases to determine that after you've seen a guy and say, well, he's dead pull. Maybe I ought to move a couple of feet over that way. If you haven't done that as a fielder, maybe you shouldn't be fielding or out there. Maybe DH is the better spot. But nevertheless, you're coming up. You see the players always going to game plans that are on their wrists, scouting reports, and you see them moving not just between batters, but between pitches on particular batters. It is interesting. So I think that has, where that tweener used to get through 30 years ago, now because of the metrics and the advanced analytics and all the rest of it, maybe that guy has situated himself better. And now that he just picks up and makes it a 6-3, whereas before it might have been a nice bleeding base hit. So instead of going 0 for 3, now you're 1 for 3, or instead of going 1 for 4, you're 2 for 4. It's a huge difference. Then, night games. There's nothing better than Mother Nature playing during the day or with the beautiful sunshine. Anybody who's played, whether it's weekend warrior softball or night baseball for your high school team or your college team, or Little League, will tell you that Mother Nature and sun are so much better to be able to see a ball. And then age. Now, this is where Williams does have the advantage. He was only 23. I'm not saying he had racehorse legs. Got to remember that Judge, solidly built, has good speed, but is 33, 34. 11 years difference. Now, you can argue Williams didn't have the experience in the league that Aaron Judge does now. Yes, give you all that. But I think that speed, even whatever speed that Williams had, maybe did come to help him out, maybe on 1 or 2. Whereas maybe Judge now doesn't get that benefit. Now, in order to hit 400, I do think it's possible. Williams was at a high of about 432, 434. We said he had dipped by the end of the year to the very last game to 399.6. Would have gotten credit to 400, but he elected to play and went 6 for 8 in a doubleheader against Philadelphia. And the rest is history. You got a calming effect from the home plate umpire. It says in order to hit 400, a man must be settled, or words to that effect, or calm, cool, under pressure, which Williams was. I don't think there's any player that I could say was more cool and calm under pressure situations than Ted Samuel Williams. A veteran of 2 wars, a Navy pilot, or a Marine pilot, jet plane down, was able to crash land it successfully, walked away from it. Could have been worse, obviously. So I think he is one cool cat under pressure, or was. And then, here's what I would be looking for if a guy was able to hit 400. Gwynn came close, 394 in the strike-shortened 94 season. Brett, in 1980, I think played far fewer games. Brett played I think 100. I don't know why 117 games. I know he was injured for a while. I'm going to go to 1980 when the Yankees met the Brett-led Royals for the third time in about 4 years. No, actually, the fourth time in 5 years. And Casey, for some reason, I think Brett played 117 games that year, but it wasn't a full thing. Brett played 117 games, had 515 plate appearances, which qualified him 24, 118, 390. And he was at about 383 as the season was getting going late, in the late stages of the seasons, and went on a hot streak to get it to 390. During the season, I think Brett had a high in late July of about 417, if I recall. And anyway, I think the same thing has to happen for Aaron Judge in this respect. He's at 389, which is rough, because you're almost going to have a week to get it approaching 400. You're going to have to go like a beastie 15 out of 20, right? Or 25 out of 40. I'll even give you that. And then see what you can do. And then get it over 400 and then hang on for to your glory. Now, one thing Judge does have going for him, the Yankees are in a pennant race, which means that he will probably draw a ton of walks. So if he adds, let's say, a 2-for-4 day, now he gets walked. Maybe the next day he's not as strong. Maybe he goes 1-for-2 with 3 walks. Maybe he gets a number of 1-for-2 games and gets 3 walks. All right, which gets him close to 400, and then has a real unbelievable week where he's just hitting everything in sight. And like I said, maybe hits 600 for the week, 25 for 40 or something like that, and mashes 7 home runs. I think towards the end of the year, he might have a shot. Maybe, late September, he's hitting 403, 404. Where just maybe one hit, 1-for-2, just keeps him above, and he keeps getting the walks and keeps getting the walks. And as long as the Yankees keep hitting the ball, they are one of the stronger offensive teams, he's probably going to get walked quite a bit, which all adds to plate appearances and on-base percentage, obviously. So he's got a shot. But I think if it continues to plummet his batting average, which is not saying he's having a bad season, he's having a triple crown season. But this is what happens. People look at May 3rd and he's hitting 432, and like me, they say, wow, his batting average has plummeted 43 points. He must be in a deep slump. And really, it's not, because you can go 3 for 8, right? You can go 3 for 8 over a course of a doubleheader, and your batting average is 375 for that doubleheader, but it's dropping. It's hard to hit 400. It means you're getting 2 hits every 5 at-bats. Most people don't get 2 hits over 3 games, let alone 2 in a game. So it should be fun. All right, let us to the timeline. And I picked up October 1st, 1941. Now, all I did was just turn the page, and I'm going to look. The Dodgers manager, that was when they were in Brooklyn, managed by the fiery Leo DeRocher, take their first pennant since 1920. They finish at 154, 2.5 games ahead of the Cards. The team is led by Dolph Camilli, 285, 34 home runs, 120 RBIs, and 343 hitter Pete Reiser, age 22, the youngest ever national batting champ. Now, I got to be honest with you, I got to go to this because Pete Reiser happened to be one of my mother-in-law's favorite players of all time. And I do remember my older brother talking about him as a ball player, much like Bobby Valentine in this respect. Valentine was a big pick. I think he was the number 1 pick back in 1969 by the Dodgers. They thought he was going to be an unbelievable ball player. And he had the tools. He definitely had the tools. But the problem with him was, like Reeser, he kept getting hurt. And I just remember this. He had some tough years. He was just starting to get into his own. The Dodgers do trade him to the to the California Angels, and he was hitting over 300 with the Angels. And he broke his leg. And not only broke his leg, I think he fractured it in 2 spots. And basically, not only was his season over, but his career was definitely destroyed. And Pete Reeser, I just want to give you this. He had an 8 WAR in 1941. He had 117 runs to lead the league. He had 39 doubles, 17 triples, both led the league. 14 homers, 76 RBIs, and hit .343 with a .558 slugging percentage. And how unbelievable is this? Because we've been talking about it all day. A .406 on-base percentage as he drew 46 walks. Just want to give you Reeser's statistics for his career. Now, Reeser was one of my mother-in-law's favorite players. He lost 3 years to the military, all right? Made the All-Star team in 41 and 42, and when he came back in 46. This is the kind of career he had. 41, as I said, hit .343, played 137 games. Injured in 42 with various injuries, strains and knee injuries, etc. Had, nevertheless, 89 runs scored in 125 games, 33 doubles, 5 triples, 10 homers, 64 RBIs, 20 steals to lead the league. Hit .310, .375 on base percentage, slugging percentage .463. Down from 41, his greatest season of all time. Here's the deal. Reeser, I'm just looking at this right now. Reeser in 41 got hit by the pitch to lead the league 11 times. And even though he avoided being hit by the pitcher, only down to 2 the following season, I know that he would get hit by the pitcher. I should have mentioned that. He ran into walls, had all kinds of concussions and all the rest of it. So he goes into service and has probably his last 2 great seasons. Comes out, plays 122 games for the 46 Brooklyn Dodgers. They don't win the pennant. That's the year that the Cardinals beat the Red Sox. Still had 21 doubles in 122 games, 5 triples, 11 homers, 73 RBIs, 34 steals to lead the league, 55 walks, hit .277, way below, but still having a good, solid season. Had an on-base percentage of .361. Almost like I say, I always look at the on-base percentage. Is it close to 100 points higher than the batting average? Then he's having a really good season in terms of just getting on base. All right? .428 is his slugging percentage. The last year that he's really good, Dodgers win the pennant. He played only 110 games. This is where injuries are catching up to him. 110 games. Still scored 68 runs, had 120 hits, 23 doubles, 2 triples, only 5 home runs, 46 runs batted in. Led the league in caught stealing 11 times in 25 chances. He drew 68 walks. I'm sorry. Had a .415 on-base percentage. But here's the deal. After that, he played 64, 84, 53, 74, and 34. He played Brooklyn one more year in 64. I think Brooklyn saw the handwriting on the wall, much like LA saw the handwriting on the wall for Valentine, a guy who couldn't stay in the lineup because he kept getting injured. And he was a great, great player. Concussions galore, though, for him. He goes from Brooklyn to Boston, played 84 games, an increase of about 10%. Hit .271 after a .236 campaign in 1948. In Boston, 1950, hit .205. In 51, he's traded to Pittsburgh, played only 74 games, hit .271. And in his last year, he goes to the American League and he only played 34 games, hit 136. This guy was definitely on the road to a potential Hall of Fame career. I'm telling you, that's what my mother-in-law said. That's what many, if you talk probably to his peers, fellow teammates, managers at the time, Reeser had it all. Reeser had it all. And unfortunately, injuries, especially to the head, crashing into the wall, took its toll on Pete Reeser. Now, I just want to do one thing. Just comparing him to Bobby Valentine. Valentine played 101 games that year in 71, hit 249, 10 doubles, 2 triples, and a home run, 25 RBIs, 32 runs scored in 71 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They didn't win the pennant. He only finished with a 2 WAR. I just wanted to show you this. Here's what happened. He comes up in 71. He did come up as a 19-year-old rookie, played 5 games, 3 runs scored. First full season, Dodgers did see some real potential in him. I'm telling you, he was one of the greatest players playing in Connecticut history, all-state in baseball. Then in 72, plays 119 games, has a solid season, 274. Probably his home runs aren't going to be as good as, or the expectations for home runs aren't going to be as good as the Dodgers anticipated. But you got to remember that Dodger Stadium, for as long as I grew up, was basically a pitcher's park. Had 107 hits, 391 at-bats, playing 119 games. Had 42 runs scored, 32 RBIs, and hit 274. He is traded to the California Angels. I think he went in the Andy Messersmith deal. I'm pretty sure he might have come in the Messersmith. Goes out to California, played 32 games for the Angels, had 38 hits and 136 at-bats in 32 games, 5 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 13 RBIs, and 12 runs scored, and was hitting .302. And that's when he ran into a wall trying to go for a ball, and I'm pretty sure, I know he broke his leg, and I'm pretty sure he broke it. It was a compound fracture. He was never the same player. Probably came back too soon. He was out the whole year, came back in 74, hit 261, again in 117 games. Then he's traded by California to San Diego. And he just has really a miserable season. Hit 250 in the combined in 33 games. Then in 76, he hit 367, but only played 15 games. I believe he was hurt again after the 75 season. And then he eventually makes his way to the Mets. And with the Mets, in 78, with that terrible team, actually hits well, 269. A homer, 18 RBI, 17 runs scored, part-time duty, 69 games, and then finishes the season with Seattle and hit 276, but his days were done by age 29. Injuries took a toll on him. And I always thought of Bobby Valentine just like Pete Reeser, all right? And this all comes from 1941. Now, in addition, Kirby Higbee at 22-9, and Whitlow Wyatt at 22-10. You talk about alliteration. Are the top pitchers. Joe McCarthy's Yankees run away with the pennant, finishing at 101-53. You got to remember, it's pretty impressive. Both teams won 100 games, only playing 154 games. 17 games ahead of the Red Sox in 1941, the year that we're talking about. I did not premeditate this. It just came. The Yankees have no 20-game winners, but don't need any. Joe DiMaggio hits .357 with 30 homers, 125 RBIs. Charlie Keller has 33 homers, 122 RBIs. Now, I was looking at Charlie Keller. He's got a pretty impressive career as well. Keller had 33 homers, 122 RBIs. Tommy Henrich, 31 homers, 85 RBIs. Joe Gordon, 24 homers, 87 RBIs. Rookie shortstop, Phil Rizzuto, Phil Rizzuto hits 307. And you're talking about three MVPs that I just listed. I believe Gordon won it. Phil Rizzuto won it in 1950, and of course Joe DiMaggio won it for quite a few seasons. The Indians' Jeff Heath becomes the first AL player to top the 20 mark in homers, triples, and doubles. Did not know that. He also hits 340. The Cardinals, Howie Christ, 10-0, sets an NL record for most wins without a loss. Now, we don't mention Ted Williams here, but Solomon does have a blurb on Ted Williams right at the top of the page. Ted Williams, after getting 3 hits in the nightcap, he devotes September 28th. Ted Williams begins the day at 3.99955 or 3.9996 for 143 games. With the pennant race decided, Williams can sit out a doubleheader against the A's. Manager Joe Cronin offers him the option and back into, that's in quotations, a 400 average. Williams responds, I don't care to be known as a 400 hitter with a lousy average of 3.9955. I'm going to be a 400 hitter. And then he delivers. In the opener, the splendid Splinter hits a homer and 2 singles. The Red Sox win 12-11. We recap that. The tension mounts, and Williams comes through with a double and 3 singles in the nightcap, called after 8 innings because of darkness. That I did not mention and did not know, to be honest with you. Even though I had the box score right in front of me when I was doing it. Just didn't see it. He finishes the season at 4.057, become the AL's first one. Now, here's what I got to ask Williams. You didn't want to be a 400. I'm just being a wise guy here. At 3.9955. But you'll be a 406 hitter with a 4.057, even though that brings it over to 406. I'm just saying that for fun. Becoming the AL's first 400 hitter since Harry Heilman. I forgot. I did not know that. 403 in 1923. And the major's first since Bill Terry. That I knew. 401 in 1930. And I think before Bill Terry, it was Rogers Hornsby who hit an unbelievable 424. Williams also hit 37 home runs, 120 RBIs, 133 runs, 145 walks. That was a key, to be honest with you, that Williams hit or received 145 walks. Much like that's going to be Judge's chance. If he throws like 200 walks and he goes 1 for 2, 1 for 2, I think he might have a shot to really build and get close to that 400. But he's only 23. The nightcap won by the A's marks the final major league game. Did not know this for Lefty Grove, who is charged with the loss. Ted Williams, after getting 3 hits in the nightcap, asked the press, "Ain't I the best hitter you ever saw?" Now this is where it got Williams in trouble. All right, 23, brash, young, saying that to reporters. He was not eating humble pie. And, really probably taking a page from Dizzy Dean, who said, hey, it ain't bragging if you can back it up. And believe me, Williams backed it up. He has some additional remarks about his fabulous season. If I was being paid $30,000 a year, the least I could do was hit 400. And there never was a 400 hitter who wasn't lucky. So there's an humility on Williams' part that is overlooked. Williams recalls in his autobiography that when he came to the plate for the first time that day, home plate umpire Bill McGowan dusted the plate and without looking up said, to hit 400, a batter has got to be loose. He has got to be loose. Okay. I use the word comfortable. All right. Pretty interesting. I can't believe I'm telling you. Now, I'm picking up. Look, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to hold this. I'm just going to lump it. Now I'm going to go. July 11th, 1953. June 24th, 17-year-old pitcher Joey J signs with the Braves, becoming the first pitcher to make it from the Little League to the Major Leagues. Now, Joey J is an interesting player because he has, I think he finished with 99 wins in his career. All right, I picked up 1974, as a matter of fact, with the Braves. They finished 88 to 74. I want to go to Joey J. Let's go. So this is 1953, Milwaukee Braves, because I know Joey J. I remember him, my brother telling him he pitched for the Reds. I'm pretty sure he won 20 games with the Reds. And he was a pretty solid pitcher. All right, let me just say, Joey J., 17 years old when he came up to the, 17 years old when he came up to the major leagues. 17 years old. I'm going to have to do another show on this because he finished 99 and 91, 3.77 ERA, had 7 saves. Ready for this? You can't make this up. He had 999 strikeouts for his career with 91 wins. You can't make that up. Can you just stay for that one? I think he does try to stay because he finishes his career with Atlanta. He went 0-4, 7.89 ERA. But his first couple of years with the Braves, he is already, ready for this, he is 24 years old and has spent 7 years in the major leagues with the Braves, compiling 2, 9, 18, 24, 24 wins, and 24 losses, and he shipped off to the Reds. And it was a great trade by the Reds because in 1961, he makes the All-Star team, wins 21 games for the pennant-bound or pennant-winning Cincinnati Reds, has a 3.53 ERA. All right? Not the lowest in his career. Technically, he had a 2.14 ERA and 58 with the Braves. Playing on their World Series. He actually played on 2. Technically, he was part of 2 World Series teams with the Braves and then with the Reds. But with the Reds, that's how I remember my brother talking about him. Pretty decent pitcher. Won back-to-back 21-game seasons. He was actually 42 and 24 for the Reds and 61 and 62. Led the league in shutouts and threw, ready for this, 247 and then 273 innings for the Reds in consecutive years. Basically, he threw over 520 innings in 2 years for the Reds. Now, you got to remember, 353 and 376 for the Reds. Pretty good ERA, even at that time, because he played in Crosley Field. And just the opposite of Dodger Stadium, Crosley Field was a hitter's park. Unfortunately, and I do believe this is where injury set in 63 he goes 7 and 18, 4.29 ERA, but still managed to pitch 170 innings. Never did approach the 61 and 62 campaigns, but won 99 games in the major leagues with 999 strikeouts. Not bad, okay? Let's do a little Yogis for all you Yankee fans out there. The Yankees, June 14th, 1953, sweep a doubleheader from the Indians, 6-2 and 3-0, extending their winning streak to 18 games. The Yankees begin the streak on May 20th. I did not know this. On May 27th and have 15 road victories in the 18 wins. That's pretty impressive. Now lead the Indians by 10.5. Yogi has a homer in the opener and a triple in the nightcap. I would go on with that. I want to go, let's just go like this, just so you know. Oh, baseball on TV. It's a little blurb. CBS TV's Death on the Diamond, not based on the 1934 movie with Ralph Bellamy as the murdered player, 0 for 37, starring Arthur O'Connell, Eva Marie Saint, and James Broderick. Ooh, and then a sad note here, July 22nd, the Tigers unconditionally release 4-time 20-game winner Hal Newhouser, who was 0-1 in 1953, 7.06 ERA in 7 games. Now, boom, I'm going to go forward, so I'm a little bit more familiar over the last 4 minutes of the show. December 11th, 1962. Elijah Pumpsy Green, who is known as the first African American player in Boston Red Sox history. I think it was 1962. The Red Sox finally break the maybe a little bit sooner, but they were the last American League team to break the color line. Elijah Pumpsie Green, 231 in 56 games, the first black player for the Red Sox, is traded to the Mets, along with pitcher Tracy Stallard and minor league infielder Al Moran. In return, Boston gets infielder Felix Mantilla, who had 275 and 11 home runs. I don't think that was a good deal. I do know this, though. Elijah Pumpsie Green was brother of cornerback and Hall of Famer Cornell Green of the Dallas Cowboys. That I knew. And you know what? I just want to dip back because Stallard, of course, is famous. 1961, I just want to read this to you. Maris's 61st home run. It's a blast. Comes at Yankee Stadium in the fourth inning against Tracy Stallard of the Red Sox. The home run also is the Yankees' 240th as a team, setting a new record. The Yankees only won the game 1-0. We did bring that up. And you know what's funny? Jack Fisher and Tracy Stallard, I always get them confused because I know Stallard is something else. And in 1960, I wonder if they have it here, Ted Williams' final home run. The kid, now 42-year-old, says goodbye to his fans and his foes at Fenway Park. Williams, who originally said he would retire at the end of the season, decides to bow out 3 games earlier. After being robbed of a homer by Al Pilarczyk of the Cardinals in right center, Williams comes to the plate for the last time in the 8th inning. He catches a 1-1 pitch from Jack Fisher and hits it for his 521st home run and his final career home run. The fans stand and chant, "We want Ted," but true to form, he does not emerge from the dugout. I couldn't, he explains later. Carroll Hardy, and I did know this. I know that he pinch hit or replaced Ted Williams. I didn't know he replaced him in that particular game. Replaces Williams in the 9th inning. And the career of the man who is perhaps baseball's greatest pure hitter is over. Williams finishes his 19-year career with a 344 lifetime BA. He's the last man to hit 400 in the majors and ranks 3rd all-time when he left, behind Babe Ruth and Jimmy Fox. After the game, he says, I've gone as far as I can. With the Red Sox of the pennant race, Williams will go fishing in Maine while the team travels to New York for its final games. Apropos how he ended his career. I knew that Fisher was involved. I knew Jack Fisher and Tracy Stallard, and I think Stallard is involved in another momentous occasion, home run. And I just can't think of it off the top of my head. So those are, it's unbelievable. Now, those I deliberately looked only because we were on this theme of 400 and Ted Williams and the Red Sox. I'm going to go to one more, April 15th, 1972. April 13th. It's one of those bad times in baseball, the strike. Remember, they lose about 9 games. Each team loses. And again, talking about the Red Sox lost the pennant that year, the American League East, by half a game. Because one of the agreements was that the games were not going to be made up that were lost to the strike. And the Red Sox, I think, played 153, and Detroit played like 154. And Detroit won by half a game. And they had faced each other in the final weekend series. And of course, there's some Red Sox gory, not glory, in that 3-game set. We'll talk about that another day because I'd rather get it right than wrong here. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, April 13th, and Marvin Miller of the Players Association announced the end of the strike. The 86 games missed will not be made up, and some teams will play only 153 games, eliminating the issue of pay for lost contests. The settlement comes on the heels of 2 days of owner meetings in Chicago. Play resumes with 12 games tomorrow. Marvin Miller, executive director of the Players Association, on the strike. Money's not the issue. The real issue is the owners' attempt to punish the players for having the audacity not to settle and for having the audacity not to crawl. April 15th, tax day no less. Reggie Jackson of the A's becomes the first major leaguer with a mustache since Wally Schang Sehang, of the A's in 1914. So you're talking about almost 58 years. Everybody was clean shaven. That I knew because we brought that up. I didn't know who the last guy was. But if you recall, Richie Allen had a mustache on his 71 baseball card. And so did Reggie Jackson, I believe, on his 72 card. So he becomes the first. The Dodgers' Stanley Frenchie Bordigare showed up at spring training in 1936 with a mustache, but had to shave it. Well, we have that picture of Dick Allen with the mustache, the baseball picture. So that was probably early, and then he shaved it, obviously. Picture Darryl Knowles on his teammate Reggie Jackson. There's not enough mustard in the world to cover that hot dog. Listen, Jackson, all right, was not humble, but he could back it up. And I would love to back up this show for more information on baseball's timeline, and I'll do it maybe on a future show. This is Will O'Toole for Park Ridge Sports History. Thank you for joining. Shout out to Howard Fredericks and all of his young producers. Thank you.